had some horrible weather in this area recently. It's rained for the last 3 or 4 days, and today is the first day the sun's decided to make an appearance. So I've decided to come out to the shelter. It always feels weird when I've not been here for a while, like the anticipation of what will have changed when I get back there. Will someone have discovered it? Will it be broken? Or will someone actually be there waiting at the shelter for me pushing through the trees and turning up? That'd be awkward, wouldn't it? Anyway, I'm happy to be back out. I'm going to do some talking with you guys, film lots of B-roll, do some voiceovers, and just really enjoy our time in this hotspot here in the UK for UFOs and extraterrestrials, wild cryptids, and other strange phenomena. Stay tuned. Again, I will report this, guys, because I'm sure that no doubt if any of you guys hook up with me and come to this location, you'll see exactly what I'm saying and be able to relate. Once you're stepping off that open ground, it's a different world completely. This way, Lily. This way. Different world completely. It's just got a really weird vibe to it, like no other woods that I've been in before. And there is a reason for that, but I can't really say the reason on film, because if I do, it will give the location away, no doubt. To anyone that operates in this area, they'll know exactly where I am if I was to tell you why it's so creepy like that. Lily, this way. Lily. Lily, come. Come. Gone the wrong way, babe. That way. Go on. Go. Go. Good girl. Lily, this way. This way. Well, camp is still standing, which is always good news. Everything, however, looks absolutely soaking underneath the... I'm just going to put the lead down and feel the tap. Feels dry. I mean, the rain's been coming into this point here, but that's only because this side's not blocked in. This side over here, completely dry. So, yeah, it's not as bad as I thought, actually. This isn't wet, it's just the colour of the wood. This bit here, this part here is wet from there to the end, which is obvious because there's no side on at that end of the shelter. Once I've got that side on, everything should be bone dry. What's the floor like? That's dry. I mean, we've had 3-4 days of consistent rain, so water will come up through the ground, or moisture at least. But yeah, that's brilliant. It's dry. So I had this plan today with the EMF reader, electric magnetic field reader. Picks up electric magnetic fields, as you might guess. I was going to put it in this latex glove. It doesn't have to be a latex glove. Anything waterproof, but basically this is all I had to hand, no pun intended. But yeah, I was going to put it inside here, pull it all real tight and sellotape it down at the back so we can still see the LED lights, and I was going to put this up on a tree. Over here on another tree I was going to put the game camera viewing this and the surrounding area. So the thought process that I was having was that if anything comes into the shot and triggers the game camera, and this is going off at the same time, then that is strengthening my reasons for looking into that footage a bit more, because a deer just wouldn't trigger this. Like, I don't trigger this. If I turn this on now and hold this near my body, I don't emit electric magnetic fields. So yeah, like I said, if the game camera was triggered and this was going off on the opposite tree, then that would make me think that something strange is going on. Or it's a bit coincidental that both would be triggered at the same time, especially if it was just a deer or something like that. And I mean, there is the chance that this could go off and the camera doesn't pick it up, because I don't think this is enough movement, just these LED lights triggered, to spark the game camera to start filming. So yeah, that's a great thing, is like, this wouldn't just trigger the game camera to start filming. There has to be actual movement within the shot. Now, if the camera's triggered and this is going off at the same time, then yeah, there is reason for concern, if you will. So yeah, the only problem is I haven't brought my keys for the game camera, so I can't lock it to the tree, which is always worrying. It's an expensive piece of kit for what it is, and I really would hate to lose that just as some kids walking through here or whatever, which I think is very slim to none. I mean, I've not been back here for a week and nothing's been touched at all. Everything is exactly where I've left it. Do you know what I think is really fascinating about these missing 411 stories is that it's all left down to the imagination. You see, like when we talk about Bigfoot and that name's mentioned, we instinctively think about this big, tall, bipedal, upright walking creature, powerful, elusive, and we've got like an image in our head built up of what this person's talking about. And the same goes for aliens. When we mention the word aliens, we either assume that they're talking about these little grey creatures with big black wraparound eyes, or the Andromedans that are blonde, tall, with blue eyes, or the reptilians. When we talk about missing 411, there are literally no clues and it's still left unresolved. So it's all pretty much left down to the imagination of the individual. And we love that. As humans, we love to use our imagination to fill in the gaps. And it's like we can all read the same book, but you will take away from that book something different, or the images that you've built up from that book will be different to the ones that I have. And this is why when we go to watch a movie that's based on a book, you hear people saying, oh, that character's not as I imagined him, like, I thought he would look so different. And that's because we've used our imagination to fill in, to piece together what we think this book is describing. And that's what we have to do with these missing 411 cases, is we don't know where these people are going. I've heard some people say that maybe they stepped through a rip in time and they're now in another dimension unknowingly. I've heard some people say that it is Bigfoot or it is extraterrestrials. But the fact of the matter is it could be any and all of those things or none of those things. So the imagination now is absolutely buzzing with excitement, and we're trying to fill in the gaps. It could be this, it could be that, and it's intriguing to us. Whenever anything is left to the imagination, we as humans find that very, very fascinating because we don't know the answers. And I think that that's why we go into space. That's why we venture to the depths of the ocean, because we just don't know. And we need to always know the answers in anything in life. If we're left unknowing, I mean, I know this is a very sad and dark analogy, but you hear it when people lose children and they don't know where their child's gone. They'll always say, I just want her home so I can put this to bed. I can have the answers. I can put my mind to rest. Humans hate not knowing. You hear about these mass murderers. They go on a killing spree, killing 13 people, and as a last-ditched fuck you, kind of, to the family, they won't tell the police where they've buried the bodies. Why? Because they know it's torture for us. It's torture for the human mind not to know the answers of anything. And that's why we always go in search for it. And that's what I'm trying to say here, is that the Missing 411 books, or these cases from Missing 411, are so fascinating because we need to know what's going on. It can't be that someone just vanished without a trace and this is happening time and time again. What is happening here? And yeah, like I said, when it's Bigfoot, we kind of know what we're talking about. UFOs, the same again. But Missing 411, what the hell is going on? Where are these people going? Who is taking them, if anyone at all? Are they stepping into a dimension or a porthole? Like, how is it possible that someone just vanishes? And even where I live, or where I used to live only a few years ago in York, there was a missing case there. It's still unresolved now, and I think it's been over like 14 years, maybe more than that. She just vanished. A girl called Claudia Lawrence just vanished off the face of the earth one day. In quite a busy area as well. It was outside the university. That's the last time she was seen. And never to be seen again. Police have dug and researched so many different areas. They've upturned so much ground and crawled on their hands and knees through vegetation and overgrown wilderness areas in hopes of finding Claudia, but not even a trace of evidence has ever come back. So what happens there? I mean, the likely thing to say is that she's been murdered, but what makes this murderer so special? Like, how does he get away with it? Because it doesn't seem like it was a well thought out plan. She was taken off the street in broad daylight. You would think that that would leave so much evidence behind, and there would be so many eyewitnesses to this case, that this person would have been caught by now if that's what it was. And I'm not suggesting that this is anything paranormal or supernatural, but I'm just saying that it's that unknowing, that not knowing. It leaves everything open for debate, and yeah, it's always fascinating when you find something like that. I don't think we truly want to know the answers to any of this stuff. I mean, if it came out tomorrow that Bigfoot was a real living creature and he was now being paraded around the world, and the scientific community were all having their share of him and doing tests, putting him in zoos, and audiences were paying large amounts of money to come visit him, would we be really interested in Bigfoot anymore? Probably not. I wouldn't. It kills the magic. And I think that we've got to be honest with ourselves sometimes, is that a lot of this stuff is the unknown that we're chasing, not the answers. And I'm okay with that. Like, I've got no shame in saying that I love being out here and not knowing what I'm looking for, not knowing what I'm talking about even, sometimes. But, yeah, it's fascinating nonetheless. This has been going on now for about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. It's almost like the circling, because it keeps going further away than coming back. This is a regular occurrence in this area. I mean, I'm sure that if I was to check over the North Yorkshire moors, would be maybe a flight path for the RAF or something. In fact, I'm quite confident that it would be. Maybe it has something to do with the multiple military bases that are around this area. Who knows? Is it coming back? Sounds like it's coming overhead again. It's been going on forever. Lily's crying now as well. It's definitely back overhead, but I just think it's higher now. That's why it sounds more faint. It's okay, Lil. It's okay, babe. Some kind of predator noise going on. For anyone that's a believer in the Glimmer Man. It's getting close, whatever that is. Sounds like the predator noise. Hello? Hello? Whoa, it sounded like it came right across me. It's so weird. 1 minute it's really far away, and then the next minute it's kind of like right on top of me. Strange. It's so weird. 1 minute it's really far away, and then the next minute it's kind of like right on top of me. The seams on this tarp are rolled and they've come away, which is causing water to come through, as you can see, which is not ideal at all. I've just tried to Gorilla Tape this like across to try and waterproof it, but because it is so wet, the Gorilla Tape just isn't going to take. So my next point of call is one of two things. I can either wait for this to dry and then try and stick the Gorilla Tape over then, which might be forever because we live in the UK where it's wet most days than not. Or I could get a bin liner or a trash bag to you guys in the UK, in the US, and I could thread it through here and put it up here, attaching it up there, hopefully, if it will reach. I think it will, which will give this like a doubled layer of tarpaulin, waterproofing, whatever you want to call it. So hopefully I can do one of those two options. I would prefer just to use the bin liner. It's going to give me an extra layer and also a peace of mind that if it does get through this, which it is, in drips, it's going to hit the bin liner and then find its way, hopefully if I put another one here, somewhere else. What do you guys think of an alien invasion? And I know this is going to sound crazy, I know that, because a lot of people, when they hear that word, alien invasion, they think instantly of films like War of the Worlds and other sci-fi type movies. But it's not really sci-fi at all, and it's not far-fetched at all, because we've just recently had the launch of the James Webb Telescope, and even in the short time that's been active up there in the skies, taking pictures and relaying data back to Earth, it's already discovered so many new things, and many of those things are going to be like Earth-like planets. Earth-like planets now are rare. At one point in history, we thought that Earth was unique, and we thought that there's not many planets that are in the Goldilocks zone meaning the correct distance from the sun so that water doesn't become ice or water doesn't become evaporated, and they call that the Goldilocks zone. So at one point in time, we thought that there aren't many planets that are located in that area from their neighbouring star. Now we just know that that's a load of bollocks. There are so many planets, Earth-like planets, that are situated perfectly in the Goldilocks zone of their local star. This was something that you go back 20, 30 years ago, people just didn't believe. But like I've said, with introductions of things like the James Webb Telescope and other huge telescopes flying around up there, we're finding new things out all the time, and one of them is that Earth isn't rare. But yet we still continue to believe that life is rare. And I think that's a really naive, small-minded, stupid way of thinking, because everything we've ever predicted has come up short. And we've later found out that our initial belief was not the case at all. For example, the sun revolves around the Earth. The solar system evolves around the Earth. These things were all found to be false. The Earth is flat. I mean, some of you will argue that, but yeah, it seems like at every turn we make an assumption on something, it turns out to be completely wrong, and it's the opposite. And usually the thing that we thought was the most unlikely. So I don't understand here in 2022 why we still believe that life out there is rare. I think, and I'm a big believer, I spoke about this many times before here on the channel, that life will be thriving everywhere in the solar system. Forget the universe. People always say, yeah, there will be life in the universe, but that's too big. Like, we can't even begin to imagine how big the universe is. And in fact, we don't even know how big the universe is. When we talk about the universe, we always use phrases like the known universe, because that means that's as far as we know. That doesn't mean where it ends. It carries on going and going and going. But when we say things like the known universe, it's just a very small portion of what is actually out there. And so, yeah, forget about that. I'm talking about the solar system. I think there will be life teeming in the solar system. And we need to step outside the usual perimeters, the usual boxes that confine us to these scientific beliefs. Now, science is great, don't get me wrong. I love science when it's used properly for proving things and showing examples of how things work. Science is great in those areas, but when we start looking at alien life and we fall back to things that we already know, and that's how we pursue the knowledge of aliens, we usually say things like, yeah, but they'd need water. Well, humans need water, so that's probably why we're saying that. Yeah, but must be made of carbon. Well, that's because humans are made of partly carbon, so that's why we're saying that. Yeah, they'd have to live in the Goldilocks zone. Now that's because humans live in the Goldilocks zone. And I think we need to step away from that, because it limits us in so many ways. And again, as I've just mentioned, every time we've made an assumption on something, 9 times out of 10, it's the alternative explanation that we least expected to be factual. That's the one that comes out and as the way things are. And so I just think that alien life might not need water. It might not need to live in the Goldilocks zone. They might be able to live on planets that we just look at and think, wow, nothing could live on there. Life is not possible to sustain itself on that planet. It's just too cold or too hot. I think get away from that idea, because we don't know what alien life is. And to compare it with humans and start looking for alien life out there in the solar system based on what humans need and what humans look like and what humans are, we're just holding ourselves back, because we might be missing information or data that points somewhere else, but because it doesn't match the needs water, needs to be made of carbon ideas, we don't entertain it. And I think that's very sad, because yeah, I do. I just think that there is life out there teeming in the solar system. I was talking to my 7-year-old daughter recently, and I absolutely love having these conversations with her, and my 14-year-old daughter as well. She's exactly the same, and their minds are opened for their age beyond anything I could have ever imagined at my age. Maybe I was a bit like them in some ways at their age, but they are really in tune with weird things already, even at their age. And maybe that's partly because of me, and they hear me talking about these things and having an interest about these things. But because their minds are so unpolluted with the criticism that comes with these topics, i.e. tinfoil hat wearing lunatics, and all, they aren't scared of criticism at their age because they've never experienced it. That means that their minds are so open to be free and explore weird and wonderful, wacky scenarios without the fear of being ridiculed. And I love to see that. It's so pure and untouched. As they get older, obviously, and they experience criticism, they might hold back from saying certain things, but that's the beauty of being a child, is that you are so pure in your thoughts that you're almost like mini Einsteins. Like Einstein used to always think outside the box, and that's how he came up with a lot of his laws. And that is because, like I said, he had the child mind of thinking outside the box, not fearing ridicule, and just going with what his instinct tells him. And that's what I love when I talk to my children, is that they have that still. And I was telling them about consciousness, and we was talking about thoughts in our head, because my youngest daughter, she's 7, and she says that she has this voice in her head, and it's her voice, but she talks to herself, and do you do that, Dad? And I said, yeah, everybody does that. It's called consciousness. Like, everybody has this voice that is narrating their life basically every single day, and it never shuts off. Even when you're asleep, you're conscious. And it is a fascinating thing. So I started to talk to them about it more in depth, and I was saying, Amelia, don't you think it's fascinating that I could say, after 3, say hello in your head, but don't say it out loud. So I went 1, 2, 3. She said it in her head, and I said, don't you think that's weird? Like, you've just heard yourself say something without ever moving your mouth, and your ears heard you say hello in your head without ever being there ever being a noise. These only work, Amelia, when we hear noises. This emits a noise, a voice. Yet you just did both without using any of this. You heard something and you said something at the same time without ever using 2 of your senses. And it blew her mind. She was like, oh my God, I don't like it. And yeah, so it's great. What I'm trying to say is basically it's great I can speak to my daughters like that, and they're fully understanding, and not only understanding, but they want to know more and ask me why that is. And I don't have the answers for some of this stuff, because consciousness is something that we just don't understand fully anyway. There's people working around the clock to understand why this voice narrates our life in the background constantly. Intrusive thoughts are going on in the background all the time within our minds. And I'm trying to bring this full circle now, because a lot of these UFO abduction cases talk about telepathy and how these aliens never communicated by using their mouth. It was all done through passing messages back and forth through telepathy. And that's kind of like what I was just talking about with my daughter Amelia, where she said hello in her head, but she didn't move her mouth, yet she heard her say it. That's got to be what's going on with these people like Betty and Barney Hill. When they was abducted, these creatures on board the craft communicated without doing any of that. And so it made me think that everyone has that ability to telepathically communicate. It's just that we don't know how. We can do the first step, we can have the thought, we can hear our thought, but we can't send it. There's something holding us back from sending that message across to the next person who can then receive it with their consciousness. And yeah, I went down a big rabbit hole thinking like that after. But again, my daughters loved it, and it blows their mind. I just hope that when I'm telling them these things, they aren't going off in the playground and talking to other kids that will then ridicule them for saying it out loud, because I would feel partly guilty for that. But I'm gonna keep pushing that, because I think it's healthy for children to realise and understand that there isn't just one way of living life. There isn't just one mindset for all. We aren't sheep. Think outside the box, be different, and don't be scared of being either. It's all going down. The noise of predator up in the trees, the fighter planes high above circling, Lily's crying. What the hell is going on, man? It's okay, Lo. It's okay, babe. Right, guys, I've just been cracking on, so I'm sorry if there's not been much filming or much talking, etc. in this video, but I wanted to get this second wall done. I've also padded out the first wall, which was complete. As you can see now, it's starting to starting to take shape with all these fern cut-offs. Just around here you can see that the second wall has started going in, just this little gap here to fill out, and then that's the second wall pretty much done. Overall, super impressed with everything. Yeah, it's starting to look really, really good. Can you imagine camping out here? Like 3 in the morning, just you in the middle of the woods, sleeping bag and a pillow and a little lantern. Would be very, very creepy, and I think made more creepy by the fact that I've already seen that there are deers in this woods, a big family of deers that walk through here almost every night. So you're going to hear a lot of noises, most of which are explainable. And but yeah, still terrifying nonetheless. This is an eerie part of the woods. But yeah, gonna call it a day. Get back, look through the footage, get some food, chill out, and check back through my comments from you guys. The support I've been getting on the channel as well recently, guys, has been absolutely amazing. And as I always say, please don't ever think that it goes unnoticed, because it really, really doesn't. I appreciate every single one of you, and even though sometimes I can't comment back to absolutely everybody, because you've got to remember, I mean, I ain't just getting comments on my recently released videos. People are commenting on videos that I did 3 years ago still. So yeah, it's very difficult for me to get back to everyone that comments, but I always do try my best. And because I really do appreciate you guys and the support that you give me here. I've been, you know, I feel like, and I know this is going to sound cheesy, but I feel like the community has taken me under their wing, because for a relatively young guy, I'm only in my mid-30s, to come into this phenomena, this genre, and people be so accepting of me is a rare thing. A lot of people my age, or a lot of people that are starting out talking about these things, they just get shunned straight to the sidelines, because a lot of the pioneers, a lot of the well-respected people in the UFO phenomena are people like Stanton Freeman was. Like, these are older guys, do you know what I mean? So yeah, thank you for being so accepting of me and trusting in me. Hopefully I won't let anyone down. Obviously I will say things that rub people up the wrong way from time to time, but that's only because we're all different. Like, it'd be boring if we was all the same, and it's never intentional. I never do that to piss anyone off. It's just that I can't have the same opinion as almost 10,000 people. We're all going to differ at some stage, but that's healthy, right? That's a good thing. If there is anybody or anything in these woods that can hear me right now, and you can communicate, please step close to the device held in my hand. If there is anybody or anything that can hear me in these woods right now and wishes to communicate, please step close to the device held in my hand. Can anybody hear me? Calling out to all other dimensions, spirit realms, and anything else that there may be. If you can hear me and wish to communicate, please step close to the device held in my hand.